Tonight we have portal news. It's not good. And we have coaching supposition, and which may relate to the portal news, and trying to figure out just how all of these things tie together and what's affecting what and where we're going from here. I will get to all of that. And I do want to please ask, if there are technical difficulties with the video, please tell me. I do not sit and rewatch myself. Right now I'm doing the editing as quickly as I can for an assortment of reasons. And I never want to just sit and rewatch and particularly listen to myself. So please let me know. This is WVU football going deep for fans who like to think as well as cheer. Please, no trash talk. I am Forrest Poston. Please, no trash talk. Please subscribe, share, click the thumbs up button, notification bell, make comments, tell your friends, do all those good things. There is also now a thanks button down below the video if you want to help support this channel. Pay for the vet bills and the mortgage. Now, Kyle Altuner, who was considered the future at center and a very bright future at center, is evidently going into the portal. Now, there's a fair chance this is directly related to Matt Moore being hired at Virginia Tech. And I know some people are mad he went to a rival, but can't blame him. Yeah. Once he's fired at WVU, Virginia Tech is no longer a rival. Tomas Rimac has already committed to Virginia Tech since Moore was hired. Wouldn't be surprising if Altuner is hoping or intending to follow. I don't know what their status is at center, but Altuner is good enough to compete pretty much anywhere. There may be a handful of places in the country where he wouldn't have any chance of starting. Not this year, but eventually. This hurts. I've talked many times about how Coach Brown recruited to establish ongoing depth so that as guys graduated or hit the portal, you had backup plans. Sometimes they were still a year away, but you had guys already in training. Now, the good thing is Matt Moore did make sure a lot of guys got snaps at center. He had a starter, he had a backup, he had emergency backups. He knew who could snap the ball, who couldn't snap the ball. Livingston I didn't expect Altuner to start. He might have pushed. Livingston still figured to be the starting center. We have nobody behind him. I'll have to double check with the freshmen coming in. We have guys who can start training at center, but we don't have somebody else ready, playing ready. Means we got to hit the portal. And anything else you might have been planning to do with the portal, now we got to do this. There are complications that I try to remember to get to. I did not write down my plan for this video, as you can probably already tell. I would expect Nick Cray might be our backup center at the moment. Of course, if you run into a problem and you have to move a guy who's probably your starting guard to center, then you got to bring in your backup guard. Now, and we are very young on the offensive line. Talent, future, good, but depth is getting pretty dang thin. We have lost, not counting graduation, we've lost Williams, who would have been the starting tackle, almost certainly. Rimac starting guard. Altuner backup or potentially starting center. So there are some problems. Now, as things stand, we have a defensive line coach, we have a running backs coach, and we have three other offensive coaches whose positions overlap, and we don't really know who's going to do what. We do not have an offensive line coach. Matt Moore was fired and hired someplace else, and we still don't even have likely prospects. Don't know if Rodriguez simply did not have a backup plan. Trickett, didn't want to take the job. I think there are a lot of reasons, why Rodriguez shouldn't have necessarily expected it, but seems he did. And right now, we don't know. Of course, there's talk of Garen Justice and a couple of other guys, but we've got nothing. We've got no intel that I have seen. And a lot of these guys may just not want the job. I mean, they've got good jobs. There are some questions about the West Virginia job at this point. I'm going to get to that. I got to get to that. We do not have an offensive coordinator. And it's got to be a guy who will come in and let Rodriguez call the plays and run Rodriguez's offense. I've said last video, maybe before, most guys with, who have been or are an offensive coordinator don't really want to do it that way. So you expecting to bring in a guy to just do as he's told, more or less. Chad Scott last 2 years, he was working his way up. Running backs coach to offensive coordinator. Neil Brown still called the plays. These guys had worked together for years. They could do it. But it's just not, you generally have to bring a guy up from a lower level and maybe who hasn't been an OC to get him to play that game. And most guys are going to want to move out of it as soon as they can because, they want to run their offense. Now, here's the thing. There's big push to bring in Ali from Oklahoma as defensive coordinator. Some expectation that it's going to happen, and it seems that, West Virginia, or at least Rodriguez, very much wants it to happen. He is a hot shot, big time get. But they will, if they're going to pry him away from Oklahoma, they're going to have to pay him upwards of $1 million. I don't think $1 million will cut it. I think it's got to be upwards of $1 million, as well as pretty much full control, if not full control. And there is a limited pool of money for coaches. It's higher. They gave Rodriguez significantly more money to work with. But if you spend that much of it on a defensive coordinator, first of all, he's got to work. If he don't pan out, you look real bad. And you have less money for your other coaches. That means coaches who still haven't been hired on defense. That means your offensive line coach, quarterbacks coach, and offensive coordinator. And now, at this point, we have to hire 2 more guys on offense, it appears. And if we get, if we hire Ali, we would probably still be looking at 3 more guys on defense. Your offensive coordinator, he's not necessarily going to want the same money, but he's going to look at what your defensive coordinator is getting and want something based on that, and now you got less for everybody else. Sooner or later, you're running out of money. Now, right now, a lot of this, I mean, you've probably got some of your high-level, backers pushing money and throwing money. But there's a limit to what they can and will do. And the more you put this up front, the more you got to pay off fast. And right now, it's looking, I mean, I originally thought Rodriguez should win 10 games this season because the talent was there. Now, we've lost a lot of talent. Some of it because, players are going where they're going to get more opportunities. Players, wanted to play in Brown's culture, and this is a radically different culture. And right now, it's players going, well, shoot, portal's going to close, and we don't have coaches, and I'd like to know what's going on. So, I mean, Altuner may have gone into the portal just because there's no offensive line coach. He doesn't know what West Virginia is going to do, who he's going to be working with. And, only had, 4 days left or thereabouts that they can enter the portal because, 30 days after Brown was fired. So we are getting a lot of ripple effects. Ripples that are, complicating coaching hires. Ripples in the coaching hires are complicating player retention and getting guys in the portal. We are now getting to be in pretty desperate need of high-quality players, potentially starting quality players, out of the portal. We get another chance in spring, but then they have less time to work in the system. And especially, if guys who come in, late summer and that sort of thing, it gets harder and harder. At the moment, we're still set at running back, potentially still set at quarterback, although you got to believe that Markiel and Wilkins are getting a little antsy. Maybe they've been told who the quarterback's coach will be. I don't know. Rodriguez's son is one of the candidates, I think, but I'm not going to panic. Now, of course, I mean, if you've watched the channel, I'm not a Rodriguez fan. I know, he can win games. I don't think he's going to win as many as his, fans think, but he can win games. But right now, things are, they may not be as, complicated as they appear from the outside, but there are problems. We're losing too many guys, and we're not getting guys in place. I know we have playoffs, we have the late bowl games, but you need coaches on the ground. And I think this is likely to cost us more players before we're done. And once they hire the coaches, then players may decide they're not happy with that. Now, of course, then they can't enter the portal until spring, but I do think we'll see a lot of activity in spring. I just hope it's not key players. We are losing key players. And I mean, a lot of fans out there are saying, hey, we can replace them. They're not just, you just don't go down to the store and buy, matching parts. It's not like you got a part number and you just fill somebody in. And the guys who are saying, hey, if they don't want to be here, let them leave, or they're not that good, blah, 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 you're wrong. One thing you should be asking is, why don't they want to be here? They may have good reasons. Yeah. And I mean, hey, if they have good reasons, wish them well, let them be. But things are not as settled and steady as I would like to see them by this point. Okay, I did end up rambling, but there's the kind of setup. We've lost Altuner. That hurts a lot now and for the next 4 years. We may have a defensive coordinator on the line, but if we do, it's going to be at a very high price, and we may be paying that price elsewhere in the coaching. And right now, all of this seems to be hurting player retention and player recruitment. I do my hopes for this year. We got a lot of time between now and the beginning of the season, but we got to get some things sorted out, or it's not going to be a good year. And it should have been. It should have been. Dang it. Ain't no dang excuse for not having a good year this year. It was all there. It's not there now. All right. Well, it's a gray day here, so maybe I'm just having a gray attitude to go with the gray hair. I'm going to check on seeing what's happening. Oklahoma plays their bowl game today, so if they're going to, sign Allie, it should happen today, tomorrow. Might not be announced till Monday. Part of me hopes they don't do it. I'd rather see a good guy cheaper rather than costing too much elsewhere. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later.